In this video, we're going to be working on this 1998 through 2010 Volkswagen Beetle. We're going to be replacing this front, lower, forward control arm bushing that's located right here. You should have a little center cap here that you need to take off. You want to use the straight blade screwdriver, just get underneath there, pop that off. This vehicle does not have that. Then take your hook and then find this hole right here and then just pull the cap right off. It's just held on by those positions. Now you can access the lug nuts. Use the wheel lock key, find the wheel lock, take that one off with a 17mm socket. Then using the same 17mm, we're going to take off the lug bolts. Before I take the last one off, I'm just going to support the wheel from falling. Take that off, then pull the wheel off. Take this bolt out here, use a 16mm socket. Just twist that up a little bit. Using a 13mm socket, take these three bolts out. And you have this plate right here that has the nuts attached to that, so take that off. And now you can pull the lower ball joint, separate that from the control arm. Using a 16mm socket, take these out. I'm just going to use a pull jack underneath the cradle. And we'll pull these cradle bolts out. There's two on this side and two on the other side. Using a 21mm socket, take these bolts out. Before we lower this down, there is two steering rack bolts right here and here. Use a 13mm socket. Take those out. And there's two over here as well. Now we can lower this down. The steering rack should stay. And then you should be able to access that bolt. Using an 18mm socket, take this bolt out. Oops. Tip it down a little more. Then you're going to take this bolt out. You need a socket or a wrench on top. There is a nut that's going to spin. That's an 18mm as well. Just use a socket or a wrench, and then 18mm socket down below. Take that out. Grab the nut. And grab the control arm. And just walk it out. And if you need a pry bar, you can use a pry bar, but you should be able to just grab it and slide it out. Comes right up. I'm going to take this bushing out. You want to find a cup that's bigger than the bushing, so you could take the new bushing and just make sure it goes in there. It's going to sit on the outside here. And obviously, everyone's tools are going to be a little different. Slide this through here. And we're going to use a socket on this side. You want a socket that's smaller than the bushing, so it can go in there. So it's going to push the bushing out. Just like that. And now I'm just going to tighten this. As that tightens, it's going to push the bushing into here. So I think it's actually cutting the bushing. which is okay. And once it's pushed through, you can grab that, pull that out. You can see where it broke off on the end, right there. Pull your socket out. Just gonna take some silicone lubricant. And what we're gonna do is take a cable. If you have a cable that's pretty strong, sometimes these are hard to get started. We're gonna go in here, just wrap it around, just like that. I'm going to take some locking pliers, just lock the cables together. All right, those are locked together. Just twist those and take a pry bar. Just like this. And very carefully, just pry this up. It's just sliding in. There we go. It at least got it started. There you go, bushing's in. Now it's not all the way around. We can just use the press and press it in the rest of the way. I'm just gonna use the vise and just press this in. Just have a cup that's a little bit bigger so you can push it. It's just gotta go a little ways. That should be good. And that's popped all the way through. So that's installed. Now you can reinstall this into the vehicle. Now take the control arm and line it up, same way it came out. Slide that in position, right there. Right over there. I'm just gonna use a rubber mallet, give it a tap. Get that to line up, that looks good there. Take a Phillips head screwdriver, get this to line up. And when you're doing this job, all these bolts should be replaced. They're all torque to yield bolts. And put the nut on top. And get that front bolt lined up. Started. Now you want to tighten this down. You want this arm as close to ride height as possible. If you can compare it to the other one, just get it as close as possible. Ideal if you could tighten this or torque this down when the vehicle's on the ground, but that's not realistic because you won't be able to fit a torque wrench in here while this is up. So do the best you can. We're going to torque this to 51 foot-pounds, and then you want to go an additional 90 degrees. And we'll do the same with this bolt. snug it up. I'm gonna go 51 foot-pounds and then 90 degrees. Now we can raise this up. Make sure the steering rack is lining up properly. Might have to wiggle that. Now once you raise it up a little bit, get those steering bolts started. And put the cradle bolts in, get those all started. Might have to adjust the cradle a little bit. Now we'll snug all these down first. And the cradle bolts, we're going to torque those to 74 foot-pounds and then an additional 90 degrees. And 90 degrees. And now I can take the pull jack down and out of the way. Snug the steering bolts down. Now we'll torque these bolts to 14 foot-pounds. And then an additional 90 degrees. And same with these ones. 14, and then 90 degrees. Now take these bolts, get these started. If you have to push back on the motor or transmission, get these to line up. Now we're going to torque these bolts to 29 foot-pounds and then an additional quarter turn. And we'll put the lower ball joint bolts in and the nuts. Get those started. Whenever you remove these bolts, make sure you replace those. And we'll snug these up first. And with a 13mm wrench on top, 10mm socket down below, I'm going to torque these to 15 foot-pounds and then an additional 90 degrees. It's 15 and then 90 degrees. And 90 degrees. Now slide the link down in position, get the bolt, get that started, get that lined up. snug that down. Now we're going to torque that to 33 foot-pounds. Now put the wheel on, line it up, put the bolts in. And the wheel lock key with the wheel lock. Just tighten those down. Now we're going to torque these lug bolts to 89 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. And just go around again, double check. Take the key out and take the center cap. If that center ring popped out, you want to put that back in. Line that up and pop it in place. Then if you have that little cap, you want to push that on. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.